Do you read me?
Be advised, you are coming in weak and unreadable.
Say again, Com Tower. This is Pacho. Do you read me?
Pacho, this is Com Tower. I read you Lima Charlie.
Com Tower, Com Tower. Request permission to launch and commence the field op. Over.
Stand by. Pacho, permission granted. I say again, permission granted.
Roger that. Launching podcast in 3, 2. You are now entering the field op with your host, Pacho Correa, Chief Warrant Officer 3, United States Marine Corps retired. Get some. Hurrah! Hurrah! Get some. What's going on, everybody? Here we go again. Another week has gone by. Friday night's Eve. Baby Friday. God damn, it's almost the weekend. Got a really good show for you. Kicking off some really good things. If you haven't noticed, kind of goes along with the show, getting back to the basics. But let me give you a little bit of taste of what we're going to talk about today, about getting back to the basics. Look at that. Your boy got a brand new haircut. I got my ears clipped, getting back to the basics, standards of the Marine Corps. Hurrah, get some. Yes, the long mane is gone after 9 years. It's all gone. I wanted a new look. You always got to keep the enemy guessing anyways, and the enemy being all the haters and everybody else out there that because I do have some haters and they know who they are and they report back to, the good old, what do you call it? Ball and chain, the back in the day ball and chain. So, but yeah, hey, look, if you get your feelings hurt, today's show is not for you. Or maybe it is. I don't know. And you know who you are. I know you follow me on social media and we do have some disagreements here and there about some of the things out there. Look, hey, let me just premise the show before I get started. It is not a political show. It is just things that we should be talking about. All right, but let's get all the pleasantries out of the way. Hey, this show is brought to you by me. I do what I specialize on is helping service members, veterans, as well as military retirees and civilians put specific strategies together that will set your future for success. And what does that mean? Basically, that instead of you spending your VA claims and benefits for immediate gratification, you put some strategies together that you can really retire and not have to find yourself depending on your Social Security and as well as your VA compensation, or maybe find yourself back at work because of the simple reason that you just don't know finances that well. This is where I come in. Well, we can have a brief 30-minute conversation. I will give you some very specific strategies and techniques for free, so that it'll get you on the right track. And if you want to find out more how I can actually be of further assistance, we can talk about it even more. But the information that I give out, I mean, it is worth its weight in gold. So that's pretty much that. I also help veterans put in their claims and benefits. I do use AI. There's something complimentary that, although I've been told plenty of times that I should be charging for this, I actually just set some time on my schedule, on my weekly schedule, to help fellow sisters and brothers put in their claims, whether you've done it at the beginning and you got denied or it's been years. Doesn't matter. We can make it happen. And we can talk about it more. So you can drop me a DM. We can explore things and go from there. Because at the end of the day, these benefits, you earned them, and you should really be putting in for them. So I highly encourage you that you put in something, especially with the PAC Act and everything. So, and look, if you are about, whether we agree or disagree, if you're about freedom of speech, the right to bear arms, and all the amazing freedoms that the Constitution brings us, and stick around and listen to the show. If not, perhaps check something out from SitchRadio.com. Brian Colbert's an amazing individual. He's been a great life mentor and coach. And I highly encourage you to have a conversation with him because, again, that everything that he shares, he'll get you on the right path, and he'll be someone that you can use as a soundboard. So check him out. Go to Stitch Radio, talk to Brian Colburn and everybody else in the state. Check out some of his shows on there too. Last but not least, hey, look, if you like what you listen or don't, hey, tell somebody else, because we do talk about some help and assistance during this show, and it's all about connecting our fellow brothers and sisters with civilians alike, so that they may either get help or they may find a new career path. Doesn't really matter. So again, stick around. So I think that's pretty much it. All the pleasantries. Let me take a quick swig of shout out to the folks who make coffee. God damn, I love this thing. I no longer take it with sugar, because as we get more like fine wine that we get better with age, you got to watch your shit like your sugar intake and all that other stuff. So, and I did turn 52 the other day, so shout out to me, right? All right, so I was at a network. Let me just preface a little bit of the show and why I wanted to do it today. I am very outspoken when it comes to us serving in the military and the things that we do, because I don't believe that when you're serving in the military, we serve. If you want to say king or whatever, whatever other cool, the latest thing is to throw about our, the current president, which, by the way, there's other presidents or leadership that I didn't get along or didn't like. However, because it is what I do and where I was at, that I followed that guidance regardless of my opinion. I just shut the fuck up and kept the things to myself. So I was at a networking event, and I met another fellow financial professional and from another company. And we were just kind of talking. Oh, hey, I'm a retiree. Oh, yeah, me too. High fives. Thanks for your service, whatever. And there was a realtor saying, hey, what do you guys think about everything that's going on? Pete Hegseth's address, blah, blah, blah. And this guy just immediately like, oh, I disagree, because, we should be able to say what we say and blah, blah, blah. And, this shit and that shit. And you know what? To each its own. That's his opinion. And then the guy turned, what do you think? I'm like, well, no disrespect, brother, but I disagree with you. He goes, oh, what do you mean? I'm like, look, our whole point is that we are here to serve and do our job, period. We follow that commander-in-chief's direction. And yes, did I work for some shitty leadership? Oh my God. Yes, I did. But at the end of the day, I backed them up, because that was the person I was sitting on that hot seat. And did we disagree indoors? Yeah. I was like, hey, sir, can I talk to you? Hey, look, I disagree with this, blah, blah, whatever. And they're like, okay, no worries. So with that being said, and we kept going back and forth, and clearly the guy was too passionate about, his point of view and whatever. And in my head, I'm like, look, shut the fuck up. You're being a baby. It's the bottom line. So, and then I go on social media, and then I see, primarily I've been seeing a lot of soldiers. So if you go on my TikTok, there was a soldier talking about, hey, look, I see a bunch of soldiers, National Guardsmen, and whatever case, all bitching about what Pete Hegseth just said and complaining. But I have yet to find any Marines. One, because I'm sure as soon as that speech was over, or the next day, I know that there was something from the commandant basically saying, hey, don't be the one bitching on social media and throwing our shit out there, because we will crush you, period. And I agree with it 100%. I do. Again, let me go back and say at the beginning, I have disagreed, and I did not see eye to eye with other commander-in-chiefs, with leadership. Nonetheless, my opinion didn't matter, because that was the person sitting on that hot seat. So, it's a hard-hitting message that he talks that basically he's talking about. And I think it's been years and years overdue, and it's been starting shit. many, many years ago. I mean, under the W administration. I mean, we just kind of went into this pussyistic type of leadership. And his main argument is leadership must return to basics. This also includes fitness. Man, when I was at 11th Marines, one of the guys taking over for Major Jaworski. So huge shout out to Jaws. He's up in Quantico, Virginia, retired, living the life. But the guy that took over the 4 position, I mean, a huge bag of ass. I mean, put together. And you can look, I mean, if you want me to drop names, I can drop names. But look up, Colonel Freebie. I mean, the guy's a fucking food blister. Period. So, I mean, fat, just nasty. I mean, out of shape, all that shit. I mean, let me tell you all something. I ran PT with fucked up knees, bone on bone. I mean, like I said, I've had a full knee replacement. And guess what? But I was not the one that, let me be the one that, would drop out of a run. And I will throw myself under the bus. I got out and I came back in. I was sent to truck company right there in Camp Pendleton, 1st Marine Division. Shout out to Scott Gilman, Matt Max. We were both enlisted back then. I was a retread corporal. He was just a newly promoted staff sergeant. And the new company commander, because back then truck company wasn't a battalion. It was separated. It was a part of headquarters battalion. But anyways, nonetheless, Captain Livingston, amazing individual. And we went on a run, and fucking I was out of shape, and I dropped out of a run. And the company commander and Master Russell was there, and Staff Sergeant Gilman, and they just brought out all the leaders. And again, I that was the only time in my Marine Corps career that I fell out of a run. And we were running Margarita Hill. Those of you who are familiar with Margarita Peak, it's a bitch, but guess what? And even the captain wasn't even going that fast. But nonetheless, I was fucking nasty. And Master Rosa pulled me aside, who even to this day I still look up to him. And he told me, hey, you are not allowed to be in front of the troops until you get your shit together, and let that be the last time that you do that. Man, I felt so freaking terrible about that. And guess what? That was the last fucking time I fell out of a run. Never and I pride myself in being physically fit. Don't know what happened that one time. Doesn't matter. It was a fluke, and never again. So, so we just got to fix ourselves. So if you take pride in yourself, pride in what you do, you got to be able to, get back to the basics. And in many organizations, leadership, like the Department of War chief said, I mean, in many organizations, leadership is decaying from lax oversight, lax standards, and comfort. I mean, we've gone into this whole shit of, based on, race, DEI, and all these other fucking acronyms that is not the things that we do. As a war fighter, we're here to fight, kick ass, take names, and win fucking wars. Period. That's it. And and promotion should be based on merit, doing the do, and all those things. I can't remember so many times that even doing a mock PFT, which, by the way, when we do a mock physical fitness test, it was just one of those things that maybe the company office, they were just kind of seeing where the numbers are at. And some people will half-ass it. Each and every time I would go out there and I would get a freaking first-class PFT. Just like, Secretary Hegseth said, everybody should score a 70 or better. In the Marine Corps, first class is, I think it's anything above, I think it's like 260, 265. But I was always first class fitness test, 270, because again, we had 3 events: pull-ups, sit-ups, and the run. So, first class, I mean, you got a really good first class, 285, you got an award and all this other good shit. But nonetheless, hey, you got to get back to the basics, right? And then if our leaders don't meet, and this is a quote from his speech, if our leaders don't meet the standards, how can they demand it of others? God damn, there were so many times it's lead, do what I say, do what I say, not as I do. I mean, they were just, and believe me, I've worked with leaders like that, but I always took pride, not only as an enlisted person and as an officer, I just didn't want to be that leader that if my Marines were going to talk shit about me, they were like, man, this dude was a hard ass, but he treated me with respect, and he was always accountable and always steady. And every time I went back to a command to visit the Marines, I'm like, hey, what's going on, gents? Blah, blah. Sir, the new guy sucks. He's bullshit. You were hard ass, but you were good to go because, you made me better. And that's the cat. To me, that was a compliment, right? What's going on right now with our soft leadership? Well, it looks, they're avoiding the hard decisions. They're executing poor performance and just letting mediocrity just basically be rampant amongst our ranks. Case in point, during the whole Afghanistan withdrawal, Lieutenant Colonel Scheller went online. I mean, this dude went on a rant. Whether you agree or disagree with the dude, that it's not here. I mean, he was calling it like it was. The decision that how many veterans and how many people, service members that didn't come home, we spat in in those veterans' faces, as well as in the graves of those that died in the name of freedom. The way we pulled out and how we did it is just complete bullshit. And I agree with the guy. I mean, again, you may agree or you may disagree. That's okay. I don't give a shit. I'm retired. What are you gonna do? Shave my head and send me back to boot camp? Fuck, So when leadership fails, it's because, again, they don't lead by example. And that's, again, we got to take pride in our service members. We got to do and in what we do. And then when you have and one thing that really chaps my ass is when I see service members in uniform ranting and raving on social media about, this bullshit and that bullshit. Or when you have a soldier, and you all know who she is, that's 300 fucking pounds, talking about some type of what is it called, pistachio fucking chocolate, whatever, from the Middle East being the bee's knees. That's freaking on sad. It's a fucking food blister right there. How the fuck did this person, and I think she's like an E5 or some shit, how did this person get promoted to that rank? We're letting shit slide based on just because of the color of the skin or this or that. And by the way, before I got promoted to warrant officer, it took me the Marine Corps warrant officer program. It's one of the most, it's one of the most competitive. And it took me 5 years. So if I was, and back then we used to call it was called affirmative action. That was one of the things that, and I don't even think that was going on, because if it wasn't based on affirmative action, basically being, how many Hispanics, how many Blacks, Asians, blah, 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 whatever the case may be, then I must have missed the fucking boat on that one, because it took me 5 tries, 5 years in a row. And the 5th year, I didn't want to, I was like, you know what, I'm fucking done. And it just, my leadership, along with somebody that's listening to the show right now, made me want to put in for it. So what happens when we allow things like this based on other things rather than merit, physical prowess, all those things that sets us apart from civilians, because that's what we do. So when the leadership is basically out of shape, physically and morally, that erodes our discipline and morale. And then you have people the wrong people get promoted because they get promoted based on their gender, or the first this, the first that. It doesn't matter. And I'm here to tell you that, by the way, if anybody here is going to say, oh, well, you're fucking racist and whatever the case may be, let me tell you something. If you look at my family picture, it looks like a fucking Benetton commercial. Okay. So, I mean, my kids are half American, half white. My now wife is Japanese. Her kids are Japanese / white or Caucasian. You know what I'm saying? So my kids are half half Hispanic, half American, half white. So I mean, shit, you know what I'm saying? So believe you me, And if you look at my family in Colombia photo, I mean, it's again, I'm like a Benetton commercial. So what I'm saying here is that we need to get back to the basics. We're not here to, to cater to one side or the other, because that's how we get our asses kicked in combat. That's how the enemy walks in through our front lines. And then we have issues like another 9/11, like another attack, like another Timothy McVeigh. I mean, serious shit like that, folks. That's what happens when we do weak shit like this and we start pandering to, pronouns and this and that. I mean, that is the harsh reality. Okay, so and why did the secretary say about fitness and leadership? Well, being physically fit and able, it helps endure, and it sets sets credibility amongst the ranks. Again, there were so many freaking times that I would see just people getting out of it. And by the way, yes, warrant officers were, especially in the Marine Corps, some of us do have, there's this negative connotation that we just do whatever the fuck we want. Yes, a lot of us can, and a lot of us do. However, the majority of the ones that I worked with, they were able to go out there, whip it on, and kick ass and take names. I mean, there were some pieces of shit, and like the Guerreros of the that they were in. I mean, we had some fucking food blisters too. That thank God they were processed out. And by the way, there's already some generals already dropping after the speech given the other day. There's some generals out there already dropping papers. Hey, if you don't like where things are going, we're going back to the basics. Just like Secretary Hegseth said, hey, we're going back to the 90s standards. And I was like, fuck yeah, sign me up. You know what I'm saying? So people some dropping papers. Hey, if you can't lead from the front, get the fuck out. I mean, that is, you got to have accountability. I mean, we're going to reestablish physical standards. We're going to hold leaders accountable and audit them and enforce it, period. I mean, and that's across the board. So I'm fucking super excited of all the changes. I mean, again, if you don't like it, don't join or get out. It is a volunteer army, as they say. So hey, just finish your term and then move on. So what's the roadmap that we're seeing out there? Well, they're going to assess where leadership is weak within their sphere, within that sphere, whether it's at the unit, at the team, at the platoon level, hell, even at family level. I mean, I'm sure that they're going to do some things to increase morale as well. Hopefully we'll get some better bases in the Marine Corps rather than some of the places where we're at, like fucking 29 Palms. I mean, if it's between 29 Palms and Yuma, shit, I think I'll take Yuma. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, I think we have to just zero out among the really 29 Palms, bro. I don't know, dude. I mean, well, you're a calm guy, so that's where you that's where you nuthead, chuckleheads go to school and stuff. So maybe you guys do love that place. I don't know, but they're going to reestablish some non-negotiables like punctuality, PT every day, standards or behaviors. And another thing that was just released was basically it was a DOD policy guidance. Basically, it's not saying that hazing and beating the shit out of is allowed. What it's saying is that allowing leaders to basically, hey, you got to get some push-ups, whatever the shit. Basically, releasing leaders and allowing them to be fucking leaders, discipline their Marine. I mean, shit. When I was in the Marine Corps, you had a choice. It was a paint or paper. What do you want? Well, I'd rather take pain than paper. I didn't want to get, written up or, page 11 entry in my record. So shit, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather run and water the imaginary flower at the top of my Margarita Peak 3 times with a fucking canteen than, have a blemish on, paper trail on my record. I mean, those are the things or go to the back of the motor pool and freaking go PM do some preventive maintenance on the tailgates of some of the vehicles. 1, 2, 3, 1. I mean, that was good shit back then. I mean, 1, it got me strong. 2, it again, it kept my record clean. So, I'm all for it. Okay. And then enforce norms and consistently, and no favorites. There's no favoritism because of this or that. Combat MOS are going back to males. Not to say that the ladies can't do it. However, and he even said it, hey, if a female can pass the test, they're good to go. And then because I know there's going to be males, because I knew fucking males that could not do one pull-up even if their life depends. I don't even know how they even got past MEPS, but that's another story. I was a recruiter, so maybe the master guns down at MEPS, happened to look away and hey, 3, oh, okay, good to go. You can go to boot camp, but don't be the one. And then train leaders physically, mentally, and ethically, and basically they're gonna look at the promotion system, fitness reporting, review and recalibrate, and it's gonna be ongoing work. I am fucking stoked, because we do need to go back and do what we're supposed to be doing, is basically being a war fighter. If you're in a combat MOS, you have to pass these standards, and it goes all the way up the leadership. No more fat generals, no more fat colonels, majors, none of that shit. Warrant officers. It's fucking amazing. Okay, so hey, the only advice I have for you is like it or leave it, and that's okay. Maybe this isn't for you, but I can tell you this, that everything that I earned, I did it 110%. I went out there and always gave. I never left anything on the table. So whether it's doing my physical fitness test, whether it was at the rifle range, whether it was at the pistol range, doesn't matter. I mean, I always gave it my all, because slowly but surely we're just, again, the moment we start pandering to one group or the other or whatever, that's where we go wrong. Our military is not, it's not made for that. And what the secretary is basically trying to say is that we're not here to do that. What we're here to do is fight the good fight. And he did touch up on a point that, that during Desert Shield, Desert Storm, I mean, it basically that did last 30 days. Why? Because under Ronald Reagan, even though Reagan, believe it or not, some of you may disagree, believe it or not, Ronald Reagan was a huge pacifist. One thing that was he, and being very religious too, one thing that he would lose sleep over was the four horsemen. Okay, the apocalypse, the end of the world, and he pushed really, really hard to bring Gorbachev to the table and all these other leaders to end nuclear war fighting. But he also understood, and under him, yes, there was a plus up of the forces. He understood that, hey, in order for us to get things, that we got to level the playing field. He understood that, and that's when, when Iraq kicked off on the first time. I mean, it was just done in such at the blink of an eye, because there was such a huge push for having a better force, and that's been watered down over the years. Okay, I mean, over the years, it's just slowly but surely. And I saw the signs. I mean, coming, and although I did want to stay, I mean, also mentally, I just wasn't all there. Pretty much my time had come, and I was ready to get out. But what an amazing time to join! I can't. I'm sure they're gonna bring back some amazing. Just filter out the shit that's within our ranks right now, all the way from private, all the way to general. It's gonna be an amazing time for for this next generation of war fighters that are gonna be coming through, because we're going back to the basics, baby. Shit. And you don't see, why do you don't see any, going back at the beginning, why don't you see any Marines? And if the ones that do have the audacity or the balls to do it, I'm telling you, those motherfuckers they're either going to cover their faces or whatever the case. But they will be filtered out. I can't wait. So, man, if I had a grandkid right now, I'll be like, you're going to be a fucking Marine right now. Get some, because it's going to be good times of, it's going to be an amazing time of being a war fighter. They're going to get rid of all the garbage that right now that just plaguing our ranks. And I am all for it. Doesn't matter, if yes, I'm very, my heritage, where I came from in Latin America, in Colombia, love it, all that good stuff. But as a war fighter and somebody who served for this great nation of ours, I am all about it. So if you don't like it, get the fuck out. And we're all about, and I'm grateful that, just like he said, I quote him, hey, FAFO. You fuck around and you find out. That's what we need to be. That's how we maintain our military prowess, America number one, and becoming the superpower again. And we need to get back to that shit. So I'm curious to see what you have to say. If you disagree, that's okay. We can agree to disagree. But I can tell you this, not just like that one individual who is a family member, and we've had some discussions about that they went to an anti-King rally and blah blah blah, that there were veterans there. I'm here to tell you that when you find veterans or service members bitching about the ranks and complaining and going to these rallies and talking about all that shit, I can guarantee that they were shitbags when they were in the fucking service. 100%. There were pussies back then. There were probably, they couldn't maintain standards. And if they did, they were just a shitbag all around that could probably run MPT and whatever else. But I'm here to tell you, if they serve honorably and all that good stuff, they won't have any things. They'll be kind of neutral. They'll keep the shit to themselves, like a lot of us do, because at the end of the day, we weren't paid to give out our opinion and all that stuff. We were there to do a job. Whether we agree or disagree with that, with the leadership, that's what we're here to do. So, and if you disagree, that's okay too. I mean, I know, hey, my man, Marine Gunnery Sergeant Thomas Kennedy, right here, retiree, he agrees, and that's all good. But I know that some of you are gonna disagree, and that's okay. That's the amazing thing. America is the only country that you can hate it, talk shit about it, and still stay in it. Wow, that's crazy, and you won't even fucking leave it. You know what I'm saying? So, but hey, I think this is an amazing index point, a good place to end. I'll say this, just like I always do about this time, as the rap song says. Hey, if you've been ruminating, having a hard time dealing with whatever it is that you got going on in your life, I'm here to tell you that time it is temporary. The last thing I need you to do is to commit suicide and just leave us wondering what happened, how we could have helped you, and asking all those questions of why, right? So reach out. You can reach out to me, reach out to a friend. There's Military One Source, TRICARE, VA Suicide Hotline. Reach out to somebody, because again, we just don't want to, we don't want you to be part of those statistics that are just very, very, very tragic. All right. So with that being said, this is Index, everybody. Ice Tomas, Daisuke. I'll see you next week. Ara, get some peace.